Today I'm going to list the best work boots at every price from $100 to $1,000. Welcome, I'm Carl Murawski. Thank you so much for watching. Now I'm gonna give you a pick at each price tier and then one runner-up. And look, if I don't mention your favorite boot, well, don't come at me in the comments, okay? Actually, go ahead, bring it on. Honestly, the hardest ones to figure out this whole thing were the $100 and the $1,000 tiers. Because at $100, you're scraping the bottom of the barrel. You're not gonna be able to find a whole lot that's very good out there. The first one is the Wolverine Floorhand waterproof steel toe 6-inch. This is the kind of boot that makes the $100 tier even worth talking about at all, because you're gonna make a lot of sacrifices at this tier. You're gonna have a lot of synthetic materials in there. Your feet are probably gonna sweat. You're gonna have a boot that will protect you and be relatively comfortable, especially with this Wolverine, but you're not gonna have a lifetime boot. It's not gonna be something that's gonna be, you know, better with time or resold or any of that stuff. This is a boot when you gotta get by, and that's it. My runner-up is the Cat Threshold waterproof steel toe. Now, this is gonna be kind of the more safe work boot look for a lot of people, and it'll be just fine for a lot of guys who need something that just will get them through. But honestly, what I'm looking for here is just the least bad work boots at $100. I just wanna hop in here real quick and give an honorable mention to a boot that was just announced, and that's the Green Highlander. This is my pair of Razorbacks here. They've been put through the ringer. But the Highlander actually comes in at $150. And is really just meant to be a great budget work boot. And I think that if you're gonna spend $100, spend $150 and get this boot instead, because it's the best value going right now. At $200, your options really start to open up and you get much better boots for it. My pick for this one, no surprise, is gonna be the Green AR8. This is a great boot. I mean, Jim Green, they're known as the value company. You get a lot of boot for the money. This is a great boot for pretty much everybody who has to work with their hands. It's gonna get a lot done for you. It is a taller boot, so if you like an 8-inch height, which a lot of people do, this is gonna be great. It has a padded top to it, has actual rebuildable construction. My runner-up is the Keen Cincinatti 6-inch waterproof carbon toe. This is kind of like the more modern style boot. I see a lot of people wearing these. Some people don't like them. I've heard like horror stories, and I've heard some really good stories about these. All right, $300. This is really the kind of the threshold for most people. My pick, no surprise here, is the Thorogood American Heritage 6-inch Moc Toe. It's hard to find any other group of boot people who are as rabid followers of their brand as Thorogood people. There are people who will never wear anything else. And in a lot of ways, I feel like Thorogood just ate Red Wings lunch. My runner-up is the Origin Main Moc Steel Toe in 6-inch. Origin really deserves a hard look. They do. I know they started out making one boot, and that was kind of it. Actually, I have that boot, and it's been great. It was like a bison thing. It was really interesting. But since then, they've really built out their boot offering, and I gotta tell you, they make some good stuff. If you're willing to spend about $350, well, your options open up even more. And this is the one that you're wanna get right here. This is the Occidental boot. I think it's called the Moc Toe USA. This is a ton of boot executed beautifully for the money. I mean, this is a lot of boot. And unfortunately, I got these right before I broke my ankle, and I haven't even had a chance to wear them yet, but they're gorgeous. These are actually made by Truman, and they punch well above their weight. $400, this is the gateway. This is the gateway to the serious stuff, because this is where you start getting boots where you can argue with other people about them, and that's what we love to do here, right? So my pick, no brainer here, is the Frank's Patriot. I still can't find a better deal out there than the Frank's Patriot. I'm almost not sure how they do it. First of all, what you're getting is a Pacific Northwest boot build style. You're getting this kind of small shop attention to your product. The runner-up is the White's Perry Select in 6-inch. I think that the White's Perry Select, they had some growing pains. In the beginning, I saw some really wonky stuff for a lot of people who like mock toes and a wedge sole, which seems to be a lot of people, especially if you're walking on concrete all day. I think that the White's Perry, for a lot of people, it's all the boot you're ever gonna need. Now, I would be remiss if I mentioned the Frank's Patriot without mentioning the Drew's Made in Mexico Logger. Again, a ton of boot for the money. People have these things and compare them to $500-600 boots, and I could see why. Big differences between this and the Frank's. These are made in Mexico. They have a slightly more generous fit, which may work better for you or may not. And the price comes in just about $400. So, you know, choosing between the two is like choosing between Ford and Chevy. Now, look, I get it. We're talking about some very expensive boots here, and that's where this video's sponsor, Clover, can really help you out. I mean, I remember the first time that I was looking at getting a pair of $500 Nix Builder Pros while I had spent my life in cheaper boots. That jump from $300 boots to $500 boots, it took some financial planning. And even though I knew that they were going to last much longer than my $300 boots and be cheaper on a price per wear basis, it still was not an inconsequential amount of money. So being able to access up to $400 back in those days especially would have really helped me out. Clover also has a great mobile app that works very intuitively, and within moments you can see how much money you can access. Now, not all users will qualify. Advances range from $25 to $400, with the average advance being $160. Express transfer fees may apply. Short on cash, access up to $400 with no credit check or late fees thanks to Clover. Click the link in the description below to let them know that I sent you. Thank you to Clover for sponsoring this video, and on with the list. The $500 price tier, it's got to go to the Wesco Jobmasters. Wesco is a sleeper company, I'm telling you. They, again, good people over there. Chris, their general manager, really good dude. And they're just over there making stuff that, frankly, is a little bit different than the rest of the Pacific Northwest boots out there. The Jobmaster is a great, case in point. The Mr. Lou is still probably one of the best engineers out there, but the Jobmaster is a phenomenal boot. I actually have one of these. It's one of my favorites. My runner-up is the Hoffman 10-inch Vibram Sole Armor Pro. This is the craziest looking boot on the list. This thing has what almost looks like bed liner all over it. So if you really are scuffing your boots up like crazy, depending on what kind of work you're doing, these might be just what you were looking for. They're a cool brand. I mean, they're not going to be your Instagram darling. You're not going to get a bunch of likes on your Hoffman boots, but who gives a damn? These are work boots, and these things will definitely serve you well. The $600 tier, the buy once, cry once tier, I think, again, this is sort of like the upper limit of what most people are ever going to spend. It has to go to the Nix Builder Pro. Now, I am biased here, and I will tell you that right off the bat. The Nix Builder Pro was the first real work boot that I bought, and it took a good amount of considering and a lot of convincing myself that it was a worthwhile purchase, but they proved to be one of the best purchases I ever made. My runner-up is the JK 4-front and 8-inch. Now, if your work day finds you walking on hard surfaces, then maybe this logger style isn't for you. I found that the Honey Vibram sole with a little bit of like a dogger heel, a little bit lower heel, works really well for me. But a lot of people, again, they love that Christie wedge. But, if you're walking on concrete all day, I think that the 4-front's a good option. JK has definitely gone through some growing pains, and people have some strong opinions on them one way or another. So, do your research first, but I think they're a good runner-up. Okay, the $700 tier, this is what I would call sort of like specialized premium territory. And my pick for this one is going to be one that a lot of people just think is a mountaineering boot, and that is the Zamberlan Logger Pro GTX RRS3. Now, I have a pair of these, and they are as impressive as my Pacific Northwest boots in a lot of different ways. First of all, they are definitely grounded in mountaineering and hiking. But these are work boots. They are meant for loggers. They're meant for people who are working in the forestry service. And is that you? Maybe you don't need it. But these are specifically meant for people who work in those kind of conditions. And I know plenty of people who could benefit from that kind of build. My runner-up is going to be the Nix Ranger HD. Yeah, I know, another Nix. But to me, this always felt like a great, simple, honest-to-God boot, work boot. It has no gimmicks. It has no extra things slapped on it. It's just a really good, solid work boot that is going to last you a long time. There's something about that simplicity of this boot that I really like, and then you're still getting all that build quality from, a P&W boot, so, it's hard to go wrong. The $800 tier, this is your, iconic heavy hitters. And the most heavy hitter I can think of at this price tier is the White Smoke Jumper. Now, these boots were originally designed for wildland firefighters, and White's boots is kind of like the OG. There are a lot of people who will wear nothing but Whites, and I can kind of see why. The Smoke Jumper is a fantastic option. People have repurposed these for all different kinds of work out there. They are among the best of the best. You can ask anybody. I think that at the $800 tier, this is the move. Now, my runner-up is the White's original 350 Cruiser. This is the more versatile alternative. I mean, if you don't need a big 10-inch logger boot, well, the Cruiser could be a lot better suited for you. It was also kind of hard to start finding boots that were this expensive, and White's, luckily, or maybe unluckily, has a lot of very expensive boots. I've always wanted a pair of 350 Cruisers myself. I just think they're really, really cool looking. The $900 price tier. I mean, there aren't many players up this high. In the rarefied air, in my opinion, it doesn't get any better than the Frank's Wilson, especially the made-to-order ones. You can have whatever you want, you know what I mean? This is a la carte. This is like, you know, you call them up, you talk to Frank or Michelle, you discuss the boot that you want, and you get it. When you're spending $900 for a pair of work boots, you are getting the boutique, whatever you want treatment, as you should if you're spending that kind of money. I mean, now, is it worth it? That's a whole other conversation, right? I mean, like, so many people say, if you're working in $900 boots, you're not really working. I mean, that kind of machismo stuff doesn't really float with me. But I mean, that's a crazy amount of money for a lot of people. If you're talking about spending that much money, well, you're talking about something that you're really interested more in the heritage and the craftsmanship, and you're picking out leathers. You're not looking for something that's simply going to take the abuse that you throw at it every single day. You want something that's special. My runner-up is the White's Lineman Pro, and the only reason that it's up there, because not everybody needs a Lineman Pro. That's for sure. You if you're a lineman, great. If you're not, there's no reason for you to have the stuff that a lineman does. I mean, it's going to be a hindrance to what you're trying to do for the most part. But one of the reasons that this is the runner-up is that it was really, really hard to find anything that was $900. And again, Whites, they tend to have very expensive boots. Okay, the $1,000 tier, let me be honest with you. This is the weakest tier in the list. It was harder to find a $1,000 work boot out there than it was to find a good $100 work boot. And the reason is that past a certain point, you're no longer getting any better quality. You're just getting more customization, fancier materials, more choice on what you outfit it with, because it's not a factory run. So this could be any number of different things. You could outfit almost all of those very expensive boots that I mentioned. You could probably option them up to be about $1,000. But at that point, you're talking about such a personal boot that I really wouldn't be able to give you a good recommendation. I stand by all the recommendations that I've had here, but at this stage, there is no $1,000 boot that's that much better than a $500 boot. You know, it's the diminishing return. To me, you hit $500, it starts to level off real quick after that. After that, you're just talking about how fancy it is, how customized it is, and you know, how much you want to be able to brag to your friends about how much you spent. If I had to sum up this whole list, it's that the best boots are definitely not the most expensive boots. The best boots are the ones that make the most sense for that amount of money. And that's why the $300 to $600 range matters so much. That's where you're balancing quality, durability, repairability, and also just common sense. Somewhere in there is the best boot that you've ever worn. In the end, it comes down to the right tool for the right job. You have to know the type of work that you're doing and what you need from a boot. Maybe that is something that allows your knees to absorb the impact of a hard surface. Maybe what you need is more traction because you're going up and down hills. I don't know what you're doing. Flexibility, durability, repairability, all of these things are going to matter in different quantities to different people. So hopefully this list has helped you pick something that'll work for you. I stand by this list. Fight me in the comments.